let me talk about the economic rationale for why we need a liberal, argumentative democracy. Start first with where we are. India is rebounding today. Though the consequences of war in Ukraine, the inflation, the rising interest rates around the world are all casting a shadow. Now, any growth that we have should be celebrated, but we cannot ignore the fact that the rebound that we're having is from disastrous numbers posted in the last 2 fiscal years. India's poorest citizens, and especially their children, continue to suffer. And they've suffered during the pandemic, they continue to suffer during a K-shaped recovery that we're having. The scarring of India's lower middle class households and MSMEs will mean that domestic demand will remain subdued after an initial rebound. So we need to figure out how to get growth up. Now, I want to emphasize that India's slow growth is not all the fault of the pandemic. Our underperformance predates the pandemic. Indeed, for about a decade, probably since the onset of the global financial crisis, we haven't been doing as well as we could. The key measure of this underperformance is our inability to create the good jobs that our youth need. Think, for example, of the protests that were triggered by the government's recently announced Agnipath scheme. This is suggestive of how hungry our youth are for jobs. Just a while ago, you saw 12.5 million applicants for 35,000 railway jobs. Now, it's particularly worrisome that India has a scarcity of jobs when so many of our women are not working outside the house. India's female labor force participation is amongst the lowest in the G20 at 20.3% in 2019. In fact, we had only one country which was keeping pace with us, which was Saudi Arabia. And now Saudi Arabia's female labor force participation is 33%. So we are alone. Think how much richer India would be as a country and how much less frustrated our youth would be if there were good jobs for all.